Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by thesoberclub.com. I'm Janie Lee Grace. This is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. I'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there'll be inspiration from experts, quit-lit authors, and sober heroes. Hi, and welcome to the podcast. I hope you're well. It's been so lovely to have some kind of sunny weather, hasn't it? Well, those of us in the UK, I mean, I don't mean hot or anything. Don't get excited, but you know what we're like. We talk about the weather all the time, and I just love those kind of crisp autumn mornings. It feels like a real blessing to have had a little bit of that. So if you are doing Sober October, then you're going to be, well, a good few weeks in. And I'm just going to remind you of a few of the basics. You've heard me say it a ton of times. Focus only on what you are gaining, really, genuinely. As soon as the thoughts crop up, because they will, because we're human, as soon as those thoughts crop up, oh, wouldn't it be nice? Oh, whatever. Just remember, you've set your intention. It's non-negotiable for a period of time, hopefully beyond October. You're going to commit to choosing to focus on all of the benefits of being alcohol free. And no, they don't all come instantly. So, my heart goes out to you if you're struggling at the moment. It's not the easiest, those first few weeks. For some people, they find it really difficult to sleep. They find that they are an emotional roller coaster. Everything feels tricky. They're not quite sure who they are. It's very normal, but it's so worth pushing through. Just push through the hard bit. Go to bed if you need to. Seriously, just call it a headache, do what you need to do. And remember that sentence, no, the word no, it's a complete sentence. So if you don't want to go somewhere, if you don't want to do something, it's just no, end of. Just do this for yourself. It's the best thing you'll ever do for your health and well-being. So push through it and get connected. That's honestly my top tip. And I'm not saying that so that you pay me 19 quid. You're very welcome to join us in the Sober Club. I really hope you will, because it's an amazing community and we have everything there. But if it's not for you, then, join another group or hook up with friends who are like-minded, whichever way you want to do it. But get connected. If you do decide to join us in the Sober Club, join us just for a month, if you like. You'll get so much benefit from being part of a community where people have literally been there, done it, got the t-shirt. You'll have every resource available to you, from, the first lesson of the online course through to all the nutrition stuff, the mindset stuff. There are meditations, there's every single thing to do with well-being that you can dive into. We have William Porter doing some exclusive sessions for us on quitting, on cravings, how to deal with cravings, and every aspect of sobriety is covered, and well-being, because it's never only about not drinking, is it? So anyways, of course I could go on for much longer, but all of the stuff is there in the Sober Club. So do consider it, even if you just join us for a month and access some of the amazing materials. And then if you decide to leave us again, well, we'll miss you. But, do consider joining us in the Sober Club, because everything is there, whether you're day one or whether you've been sober for 10 years. There's so much stuff there, so much connection, so much well-being material, really. I think that's one of the beautiful things about, when people quit alcohol, they start to see things differently. They start to suddenly care about the food they're eating, and they care about their relationships, and they care about their mindset. And quitting alcohol frees up time for other stuff, for who you feel you're meant to be. And it's amazing how many people discover a purpose, or they discover they have got time and space for something else in their life. And of course, that brings me on to the other thing that very often happens, which is people become super enthusiastic about their sobriety, and they start to realize, I actually want to channel this into supporting other people, which is one of the best ways, by the way, to protect, in inverted commas, and really lay the foundations for your own sobriety, is when you're focused on potentially at some point in the future helping others. So that I train people to be sober coaches. There are a ton of different reasons why people do this training, but if it resonates with you, drop me a message. We have another free webinar actually on what does it mean to be a sober coach or explore a career as a sober coach. It's on Monday, 24th of November. So if you go to thesoberclub.com, click on events, you'll see that webinar there. You can register for free. Absolutely no obligation. It's not a big sales pitch at all. It's literally just me sharing, some of the things you might have been considering about how you might want to step into this whole new identity as someone who is not just sober themselves, but is supporting others in creating that life that they do not need to escape from. That's what it's all about. Before that, while we're talking about events, before that, there is a fabulous retreat that I'm part of at Homefield Grange Spa. It's a beautiful, luxurious, yet also very relaxed, if you like, home from home type retreat. It's the 24th to the 26th of October. It's in Lincolnshire, Northants border. It would be great to see you there. Really great. It's all about self-care. It doesn't matter what stage of sobriety you're at, with the focus is on self-care. Because if you really get that piece right, if you really did focus on extreme self-care, then you would not be self-harming with alcohol. So the two things are very much connected. So do check that out. Again, go to thesoberclub.com and click on events. What else can I tell you about? Oh yeah, November the 4th, there is, sorry, not 4th, 1st, there is likely to be a one-day vision board retreat in Hertfordshire. Just need to sort out a few things and then I'll put that live. And then the very exciting news, we've firmed up our Christmas meetup, our reunion, our Alcohol Free Life podcast live. We'll do everything in one and celebrate Christmas, of course. And that's Monday, the 8th of December, and that's at Club Soda in London. Tickets are available now. And my special guest, oh my goodness, how amazing, Andy Ramage is going to come and join us for that session. So much to chat to Andy about. Obviously, Andy is an author and a coach and a trainer. Pro footballer, by the way. Going to have to ask him about that. And of course, he has created this movie, this documentary, all about quitting alcohol, going dry. So really looking forward to chatting about that. The movie is going to be out next year. Such an exciting project. So come along. Spaces are very limited. It's a tiny venue. So book your tickets as early as you can. It's Monday, 8th of December. Go to thesoberclub.com, click on events, and you'll see all of that stuff there that I've mentioned. There's also a little icon there for one of the sober coaches I trained, Tony, who is doing a little project specifically for men to get guys talking. So you'll see a link to that webinar as well. So that's all the events out the way, and a little bit about Sober October. I wanted to reshare an interview with you today that I did absolutely ages ago. It came up. I was thinking about it because I had a client who admitted to me, almost as if she was almost ashamed to have to admit that she found sex really tricky. Now that she is sober, it's almost like, well, when you're drinking, all inhibitions leave you clearly, and the really scary thing is that so many people have never had sober sex. And I think about that seriously. If you start drinking when you're a teenager, I mean, honestly, it's quite a frightening statistic, really, isn't it? So of course it's going to need some different, in inverted commas, navigation. Of course there's a lot to think about. And a little while ago, about 18 months ago, I interviewed Tawny Lara, who's the author of Dry Humping. I mean, you can't get a better title, can you? And I thought, let's just run that again, because she shares a few interesting pieces. And if you go to thesoberclub.com and click on podcast, you'll see in the show notes for this podcast, there is a link to the book. So if you have heard the interview before, hopefully you don't mind hearing it again. Sometimes I find that I listen back to these interviews, even though I did the interview. I listen back and I think, wow, that little piece there didn't land with me the first time. And now I'm in a slightly different place. So I hope that even if you have heard this interview before, I hope you don't mind hearing it again. On the note of guests, by the way, you know that I've said many times, I've been doing this podcast for a lot of years now and literally never had a week off, literally never had a break. which I don't recommend, by the way, if you're thinking of starting a podcast. But I absolutely love it. I want to carry on doing it. But of course, in order to do that, I need great guests. And I've been incredibly lucky that I do have amazing guests on this podcast, and they keep coming. But if there's someone that you would love to hear me interview, or maybe it's you, then do reach out. You're very welcome to just follow me on social media, drop me a message at Janie Lee Grace. I'm very easy to find on social media. I will reply if I get your message. I mean, obviously, I always say reach out as well if you're struggling. Tell someone, I'll hold the vision for you. But if you are interested if you want to be a guest on this podcast, or you want to recommend someone that you'd like to hear, then especially if you can put me in contact with them as well, that would be fantastic, because I want just a whole range of voices. I really want to just showcase just how incredible and inspirational it is to have gone on this journey, to have quit alcohol, to be living the life you're choosing to live, up leveling all sorts of different bits. Doesn't mean you're perfect, doesn't mean that anything has necessarily become perfect. But you know what? You're on the right path. You've literally changed those neural pathways, and now you're heading in the direction you want to go, rather than, down that booze elevator. So if that's you, or you want to recommend someone as a guest, then please drop me a message. And if I get the message, I'll reply at Janie Lee Grace if you follow me on Instagram and on Facebook. And I'm easy to find, of course, via thesoberclub.com. Would you like to become an accredited sober coach? Have you quit drinking and found yourself looking for a new purpose? Thousands of people are searching for help to quit and live their best life without the booze. Our Sober Coach training gives you the tools, the confidence, and the community to support others. No experience needed, except knowing what it feels like to have drunk more than you wanted to. We start with 2 transformational in-person days. Then you join our coaches family with ongoing support and webinars to help you use your skills in ways that suit you. If you're already a coach or a therapist, this could be an in-demand extra string to your bow, or a whole new career opportunity as a Sober Club accredited coach. For more info, visit thesoberclub.com and click on the Become a Sober Coach menu item. Well, I've been wanting to chat to Tawny Lara for absolutely ages. I came across, just the title of your book is just so brilliant. How can anybody not want to go, what? Seriously? Have to talk about that. So, Tawny Lara, aka the Sober Sexpert, the author of Dry Humping, a guide to dating, relating, and hooking up without the booze. So, Tawny, tell us a little bit about the stuff you do, and then we'll dig into the books. I know that you are co-host of a podcast as well. And we've also got a botanical drink to talk about. So there's lots going on. So just give me a little bit of your kind of background and some of the general stuff you do, and then we'll dig into the book.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me here. This is you're so lovely. I love your energy. Yeah, so I quit drinking in November of 2015. And back, I come from a bartending party girl background, so all of my relationships began and ended in bars, whether they were friendships, hookups, long-term relationships, coworker relationships. Everything happened in a bar. My whole world was in a bar. So the thought of dating, let alone hooking up without alcohol, or even catching up with friends without alcohol. I didn't know how to do any of my socializing without booze. And so again, this was in 2015 when, we didn't have the term sober curious.
That was early days. No, exactly. And very few alcohol-free drinks at that time as well. Very
few, a couple podcasts, a couple books. It was nothing like it is today.
Yeah.
So, I was, one of the people, one of the first, people to really get on Instagram in search of a sober community. And I didn't do AA. I didn't do 12 steps. I got sober through yoga and meditation, and writing was a really big part, still is a really big part of my recovery. But finding a peer support group through social media was a game changer for me. And that's really where I built my brand. I built my community. I built the network of people that are now buying my book, buying my drink, listening to my podcast, um, and doing all the things.
Mm.
It really is because of Instagram.
Yeah, fantastic. That's exciting. It is amazing how, oh, well, I mean, connection is just so hugely important. But when when I first stopped drinking, end of 2017, beginning of 2018, at that point, I literally had no idea that there was anyone else. No idea. No idea that there was a sober world out there or a sober community. And then I came across just kind of one kind of small group. Um, and rocked up to a sober lunch or something. So terrified, I kind of walked around the car park for
Yeah.
half an hour. I said, "Oh God, these people that they're gonna they'll hate me. I'll hate them. It's going to be terrible." I just had no idea. And when you can tap into this amazing communities, oh my God, we're normal. It's okay. Yeah, it's fantastic. So anyway, we'll talk a bit later about the drink as well. I'm really interested in all of that, but I just really love the fact that you've tackled this topic because, it's not talked about enough. It really isn't. In a lot of the work that I've done over the last few years with the Sober Club community and with the coaching work that I've done, this topic comes up in conversation, but both the relationships topic, very much so. Like, okay, so how do I date? Shall I tell people I'm sober? So who shall I date? All of that. The very big question, which again you cover in your book, about what happens when one partner stops drinking, the other doesn't. That's a big one, and you cover all of that, which I love. But the bit that people don't talk about much is the actual sex, because the reality is that if for most of us, if we start drinking when we're in our teens, right? You've never
Yep.
had sex sober. Never. So what a thing. Particularly if you're as old as me. And it's like, oh God, it's such a thing. And people, we don't talk about it. So the fact that you are is fantastic. So well done you for just bringing all of this stuff out. So where shall we start? Let's start with, in the book, you talk about the importance of loving yourself, dating yourself, right? Let's start there. That has to be the best bit, right?
Yes. Like you just said, chapter one of the book is called Dating Yourself because, as every dating book will tell you, you can't find a healthy relationship with someone else unless you have a healthy relationship with you can't find a healthy relationship with someone else unless you have a healthy relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
Every self-help book, every dating book is going to tell you that. Where this chapter of my book is a little different is that it's finding out who you are and falling in love with who you are without alcohol.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the nuance here. And even I'm a person in recovery. I do not drink alcohol. But the book is written to be as accessible and inclusive as possible. So even if you're sober curious, even if you drink occasionally, this book can help you rediscover who you are without alcohol, even
Yeah.
if you still drink alcohol. I wanted to reiterate that because I was surprised to learn that the majority of the people who like my work and are buying my new drink are people who still drink alcohol.
Right. That's interesting.
They're just wanting to bring more mindfulness and intentionality into their relationships.
Sure.
So I one big caveat before we dive into the book, but to me, dating yourself is really, like I said, figuring out who you are without alcohol, finding hobbies, maybe reconnecting with your childhood hobbies or starting new hobbies. Because as you and I both know, when you quit drinking or you start drinking a lot less, you have a lot of extra time, right?
Mm.
And you need to fill that time with new rituals, new activities, new hobbies, sometimes new friendships, and
Yeah,
finding these new hobbies and taking up these new interests can actually help you make new friends, which could, ultimately, for me, I started a dating book with this chapter because for me, as someone who relied on liquid courage to feel more comfortable on dates and in the bedroom, I learned that the more confident I felt in myself, the more that I really got to know myself, I didn't rely on that liquid courage as much because I was cultivating what I call in the book as intrinsic courage,
sure.
replacing liquid courage with intrinsic courage. That's
Yeah.
really what this book is about.
Yeah, I bet you are right. We it is liquid courage that we used for all those years, and for many of us, when that's taken away, I mean, there's the whole thing of body image, of course. I mean, for many women, if they've never had sober sex, they've never engaged with, I don't know, needing to be aware really of their own body, or how anyone else might be viewing it, because we're all just drunk, who cares? All inhibitions are gone. It's all of that, isn't it? And when suddenly they're not, I think that there's this element of that women, particularly women, I think, can feel very raw, very exposed, really not sure who they are in the early weeks of sobriety. Often we don't know who the hell we are anyway. It was like an emotional roller coaster for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely up and down, no bloody idea what was going on. Literally no idea. So this is another whole other layer, and particularly if you're with a partner who is not going through the same thing. Perhaps they're still drinking, so they're wondering what on earth is going on, because literally everything has changed. But you're right, we have to start with ourselves, I suppose, first, and get that sense of authenticity, which goes a long way, right? In the early weeks.
Yeah, that authenticity, that really is the key word here. It's figuring out, at least for me and a lot of the people that I interviewed for this book, a lot of us put on this persona and alcohol helps us access that persona. So the goal of my book is for people to read it and no longer feel like they need to become this other person.
Mm,
And my goal in my work really is to just help you find real, authentic confidence. So you're no longer outsourcing it to alcohol. It's taking the easy way out.
mm.
I'm not anti-alcohol by any means. I'm anti-big alcohol and I'm anti-binge drinking culture and I'm anti the societal norms that make people think that we have to drink to quote unquote feel normal.
Mm.
I'm against all that. But it's not about the drink itself. It's about why we go to the drink.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And I really like the fact that, later in the book, you do dig into how we can, you say, as we can't, we're not going to be numbing the physical sensations, the way we did with alcohol, which of course numbs everything. So how can we properly reconnect with our body and our mind? And you introduce some sort of sensory exploration and some really lovely ideas. And you even touch on the fact that brain chemistry is really messed up. I mean, brain chemistry gets big time messed up when you stop drinking, of course. So I love the fact that you bring in some suggestions for how we can, perhaps try things that might help with brain chemistry. In fact, you've got a section in there on edible aphrodisiacs, which I thought was great. And it's so interesting because I've not read anybody else who's written about Damiana, which is the meant to be an amazing aphrodisiac herb, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really interesting. So yeah, you've got some fantastic some really fantastic suggestions in the book, although you do say, and I jotted this bit down, at the risk of sounding like a PG-13 after school special, the best sex toy is communication. And of course it is, isn't it? And
Yeah.
because when you're drinking, I mean, you don't need so many communication, you just crack on with it. But when you're not, we really do need to be able to communicate what it is we want, right?
You're so right. And it's there a big part of this conversation, a big part of this book is communication. Like, yes, there's definitely chapters about sex and there's sex tips, don't get me wrong, but the bigger conversation here is communication, it's boundaries, it's self-advocacy, it's knowing who you are without alcohol, it's advocating for your own pleasure. It's these big things that you don't really realize are completely intertwined with the sex that you're having or not
Yeah.
having.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so true. It's so true. Tell me a bit about the sober dating scene then, because, I'm very grateful not to be in it. Unbelievably grateful. And
Yeah.
God, I can't begin to imagine how difficult it must be to navigate. But, you've got some great tips in the book. And I noticed that you say, if you are in the dating game and you've got a profile or whatever, then say you're sober. Be upfront about that if you are.
Yeah, I'm also grateful that I'm no longer dating. I spent the first 2 or 3 years of my sobriety dating, and I met my now husband. He's also sober, which is such a gift. Um, but dating on the apps, it's sober, it's a whole thing. And it's changed so much even since I've written this book and since I've been married. Like like I see my friends on the dating apps and I'm just like, oh wow, it's different.
Yeah,
Um, but in the book, I outline a few different ways to approach dating when you're
yeah,
sober or sober curious, specifically online dating. You can be very upfront, say I don't drink, I'm in recovery, whatever feels right for you. You can wait until you have a connection with them, and maybe you guys talk on the phone a few times and then you share, or maybe you wait until you've had a few dates and
yeah.
then you can share with them. Um, there's no wrong way. I think it's important to know a couple different options and then you can really figure out what feels the best for you. And also remembering that you don't owe anyone a long-winded explanation of why you don't
No,
drink.
exactly.
A simple no thank you or I don't drink or I'm not drinking tonight is fine. You don't
Mm.
have to go any further unless you want to, you know? And in the book, there's this diagram, there's this chart of like examples of oversharing and vulnerability.
Yeah,
For that exact reason, because a lot of us, when we get sober, we tend to overshare on dates. And I wanted readers to have really specific examples of what is oversharing, what's probably making your date uncomfortable, and
yeah.
what's an example of being vulnerable and letting someone in, showing that you trust them.
Sure. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Drinking, slightly off topic for a moment, but when we are drinking, that makes us very vulnerable. I mean, God, when you think of the risky situations we put ourselves in when we're drinking, I'm horrified actually when I think back to my younger days. God, I'm really horrified. So, it comes down to self-care, doesn't it? Taking a bit more care of ourselves. But I do think that I really like the idea of being upfront about it if you are dating, because I mean, we can find out very quickly if somebody really, if they only want a partner to drink with, or if that's a really big thing for them. Great idea just to find that out right away.
Yeah.
Let's not waste any time. Do you have any other, specific tips for people who are in the early stages, and they do, or perhaps they're relatively newly single and they want to get back onto the dating scene, but now they're sober.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is a whole chapter in the book that is full of sober date ideas. So if
Yeah,
you're
yeah, because
if you're
you don't have to go to a bar. Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many ideas, some that I came up with. A lot of them were like I asked my friends, like a lot of this book is heavily sourced because I'm a journalist, and um was not expecting an entire chapter to be full of date ideas, but
Yeah.
that is literally how many other things there are to do
Yeah,
besides go
that's
to a
fantastic,
bar.
isn't it? Because we never think of
Yeah.
anything. It's always just, do you want to go out for a drink? Well, actually, no, I think I would like to go roller skating, actually. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I think that would be my big tip is, for what I did, I had to forget everything that I learned and knew about dating
Yeah.
growing up. And I
Yeah.
had to just kind of toss it out the window, start fresh, and figure out, okay, what do I want today in a date?
Yeah.
What sounds like a good date to me today? Am I even ready to date to right now? If and knowing this is where like boundaries and self-awareness come in. You need to know if you are actually ready to go on a date
Yeah.
or if you're forcing yourself to go on a date. Um, and I think it's really important to know the difference. If you're not ready, it could be really dangerous because you might put yourself in a triggering situation. Your date might order a drink and you might backslide.
Yeah. Well, if
You
you're a
might
people pleaser and you're feeling
if you're
nervous.
Totally. Or, if the date ends up in someone's bedroom and then you freak out because you're realizing I've never done this without alcohol
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
This is why, it's important to spend time dating yourself, a
Yes.
lot of time dating yourself before you put yourself back out there.
Yeah, I think that's such a good tip. And when I think back to, when I was young, I was really sort of looking for someone to kind of fill the missing bits of me. I was looking for a father figure, or I was looking for
Oh,
some
totally.
security. All of that. We've all been through that thing where we repeat the same patterns until we finally get it. And so much of sobriety is getting to know who we really are without the haze of the booze. And until we've got a sense of that, maybe we aren't ready. It's absolutely true. And the other interesting thing that you say in the book is the danger, in inverted commas, of sort of connecting with someone just because they're in the same sober circle as you. I mean, that I can imagine that could be a tricky one, because just because you've got something very much in common and there's a real shared passion and enthusiasm for sobriety, doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that that's someone that you would have been attracted to otherwise.
Yeah, definitely. There's a whole section in the book called, like what you just described is called trauma bonding. When
Right.
you have bonded with someone because of a trauma. And
Yeah.
that's not necessarily bad, like trauma bonding isn't always a bad thing. But if when it is a bad thing, it's usually when if trauma is the only thing that you guys
You
have in
have in common,
common.
yeah. the
Yeah,
way the
if
way drinking used to be the only thing you had in common.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
If you guys, you can meet someone in rehab or in an AA meeting and bond over a shared trauma,
Yeah.
and a beautiful relationship can form from that.
Yeah.
Or you can become obsessed with each other and addicted to each other, and it can become this own really toxic dynamic. So just because you've removed alcohol from the situation, that doesn't mean every relationship's going to be healthy.
Totally.
It's quite the opposite, because for me, it was almost like sex and dating had training wheels on it
Yeah.
forever. And then I was like, oh God, I need to learn how to do this, like actually do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you talk in the book about, emotional intimacy without alcohol and emotional sobriety. And, there's a whole lot most of us are, we're not very emotionally intelligent because we haven't done very much other than by the
Oh,
haze of booze, right? Yeah. So, and then the other piece that I'm really glad that you cover is something that for many people in my community, they've stopped drinking, but their partner hasn't. And oh man, that's tough. That is tough. What are your thoughts around that? What are some of the tips that you share?
yeah. So, biggest tip, if you've stopped drinking and your partner still drinks, I cannot recommend Al-Anon enough. Finding Al-Anon is a support group for people who love someone with substance use disorder. And there's basically, if you're in a relationship with an alcoholic, you cannot change them, or whether alcoholic, substance abuse, whatever the thing is, if you're dating someone who is active in their self-destruction, that's the key here.
Mm.
If you're dating someone who's active in their self-destruction, you need to find a support group or read about codependency or really figure out if this is the person for you, because you cannot change them. In the same way that no one could have made me stop drinking, the same way no one could have made you stop drinking, Janie, like we had to get there on our own. So you have to think about that if you're in a relationship with someone who is actively self-destructing. You have to, like, put your oxygen mask on first. And you can't tell someone, you cannot say, I think you have a drinking problem. That would not have landed well with me if somebody
No.
would have told me that. But what you can say is, there's a few sample conversation templates in the book on this. Like, when you're drunk, I feel
Yeah.
blank.
Yeah.
When you come home and you smell like whiskey, it makes me feel this way.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that you can do. And if they can take that information and do what they want with it,
Yeah.
and in a perfect world, that might be a wake up call, and they might decide to reevaluate their relationship with alcohol too.
Yeah.
But again, as we both know, just because you stop drinking, everything doesn't get better. It
Yeah.
actually gets pretty bumpy. So it's tough. I'm not going to
Mm.
sugarcoat it. This is a really, really difficult situation, which is why there's a whole chapter dedicated to
Yeah.
it, because it's one of the most popular questions that I
It,
get.
it is. It's so important. If someone's got together with a partner, maybe they were quite young, and that was all they did together. They're drinking buddies. It's what they do. It's who they are. When one person changes, and it's no longer who they are, it really is. It's about so much more than not drinking. They are literally. It's literally as though you're with a different person. So it's absolutely huge. And you're absolutely right. We can't change anyone else. What I have seen in some cases, within my community and within some of the people I've worked with as a coach, it's been really amazing to see that they have just set their own boundaries, put their own oxygen mask on, done the self-care piece, got on with what they're going to do for themselves, and their partner has just witnessed that and just sort of seen the change in them and thought, wow, I'd actually like some of that myself. And it's been amazing. And I've actually had lots of clients who've said to me, I can't believe it. My partner's also stopped now. It's amazing. So that can happen, which is wonderful. But on the other hand, I've also had clients who have discovered, after a period of time, that the relationship is no longer for them. And again, really tough. And again, it's something you cover in the book, and I'm really glad you cover that, because as you say, we can't sugarcoat it. We have to be realistic, don't we? And sometimes relationships break up. I'm guessing that what you're going to say is that at the very least, when we come from the right perspective, we can at the very least bring a sense of, we can be more amicable, we can be more compassionate when we're not drinking, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's probably the one of the biggest things I've learned in my recovery is empathy. Because when I was sick and I was mentally unwell and I was self-medicating, I didn't have time to care about other people properly because I wasn't even taking care of myself.
Yeah.
Now I am more aware of, global issues. I'm more aware of political happenings. I'm more aware of, like how to show up to be a better friend, to be a better daughter, to be a better partner. I didn't know how to do any of that before because I didn't know I did not know how to take care of myself.
Yeah.
On a very fundamental level. I had no idea how to take care of myself. So the people that I was attracting in my life either didn't know how to take care of themselves, or they were either subconsciously or consciously taking advantage of me, or just I got into these really, really unhealthy friendships and romantic relationships, and family dynamics too. I let people take advantage of me because I
Mm,
didn't know my own worth.
yeah.
And getting sober helped me. I'm not saying everyone needs to get sober. That was my path. That helped me. But I think just even reading a book like this or going to therapy and really looking in the mirror can get you some answers.
Yeah, it really can. And I know that in the case of a couple of people that I've worked with, because they stopped drinking and they were able to sort of discover themselves, literally, it sounds really corny, but they really did discover
It's
who they
true.
were. Yeah, this is amazing. And then they found that actually there was huge pushback there because their partner really did not like that new
Yeah,
empowered woman. I mean, it felt like a threat.
it really
So
does. And
yeah,
it's like I don't you might hear like, well, you've changed. I don't like who
yeah,
you've become. And it's like,
mm,
I'm healthy now. You don't like
yeah. You
like
don't
you don't like
you
that
don't
I'm
like the fact that
healthy.
I'm yeah, exactly. You don't like the fact that I'm happier in who I am and I'm taking care of
Yes.
myself. Yeah,
And this
yeah,
shows up in friendships too. One of the hardest parts of getting sober, I think, was figuring out who my real friends are versus my drinking buddies. That
yes,
was painful. That
yeah.
was a really
Well, some
painful
have to
part.
fall by the wayside, don't they? That's the reality
Yeah.
of it. Yeah. But I really like that kind of idea that the people that are going to kind of grow and blossom with you will come along and the others will just fall away. You actually don't have to do very much. Well, I didn't. They just kind of stopped calling me.
Yeah. Well, and that's how you figure out, okay, that was my
Yeah.
drinking buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and really, we did nothing together other than drink anyway. There was nothing there in the relationship. They certainly weren't sort of 2 a.m. friends who'd kind of come out for you if you broke down, right?
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah. So just sum up the book for us then, Tawny. Tell us, what we can get from it because I love the fact that you've covered all these different angles. It's really well written. I think it's great.
Thank you very much. And this is a really comprehensive interview. I could tell that you actually read the book. A
Yeah, I
lot of
loved it.
a lot of interviewers don't read the book. It just this is just part of the this is how it is. So thank you for actually reading, because you guided such a beautiful conversation. I think the only thing that we didn't bring up was that there's also a chapter about breakups.
Yeah, no,
If
well, yeah, we touched on that, didn't we? But just how much more amicable you can be.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
amicable and I was just like, how can I write a book about relationships without a chapter on breakups? Because
Mm,
heartache is one of the most devastating
yeah.
states that we can be in, and I would not wish it on anybody. Heartache is truly devastating. And so I really wanted to have a chapter on that because breakups are a big cause of relapse.
Yes, I can imagine. Yeah, yeah.
So I really want people to, you can do everything quote unquote right, and a relationship can still end. And that
Yes.
doesn't mean there's nothing wrong with, y- we could go over with like, should have done this, should have done that. Sometimes relationships end, and we need to know how to take care of ourselves so we don't slip back into our self-destructive behaviors.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Um,
Fantastic. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I think you've done a fantastic job with the book. So tell me about the alcohol-free drink. You've got a botanical beverage.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Yeah, my husband and I launched a vinegar-based botanical drink in December. It's called Parentheses because it's technically two drinks. It's a before and an after. Before dinner drink, after dinner
Oh, okay.
drink.
Okay.
Yeah, and my husband, he also has an artisanal cooking vinegar brand because when like we said in the very beginning, when you quit drinking, you have to fill up your time with new
Yeah.
hobbies.
Yeah.
My husband was a sommelier who quit drinking.
Oh, wow.
So he has a lot of knowledge about drinks,
Mm.
and he had a lot of wine that
Yeah. Yeah.
he couldn't drink anymore. So he learned how to make vinegar, and he got really artisanal and crafty with it. So we started with the cooking vinegars called Sour Humanoid, and then our drink came out in December. But the reason I bring up the cooking vinegar is because parentheses would not exist without Sour Humanoid. He learned how to make vinegar. He got the commercial kitchen. We're doing everything by the books the right way. And then, I always wanted to have a tea line. That was my goal. When I
Ah.
quit drinking, tea was really important to me
Mm.
in my early recovery. My blog was called Sobriety Party.
Oh, really?
And
Oh,
and so
wow.
so like one of my sober goals was to have a line of herbal tea. And so this drink is really the culmination of both mine and Nick's sober hobbies. My interest in botanicals and
Yeah.
herbs, and his interest in fermentation. So Nick makes vinegar. Like I said, he gets the vinegar, he gets seaweed and he ferments it. We get vinegar and then we add the botanicals in. And the before we use herbs that stimulate the senses, that prepare your mouth for a meal.
Hmm. Hmm.
And after we use herbs that can help aid in digestion and have a calming effect.
Amazing. I can't wait to try it. How fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We're
Great.
very excited about it.
And is that sold in, you're in New York, right? So is that sold in any of the kind of sober bars, or what's the idea there?
Yeah, so it's available online. It's available in a couple non-alcoholic bottle shops.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we're getting it into it's only available in the States right now.
Yeah.
So we have several bars and bottle shops that are carrying our drink.
Great. So is
And
the scene quite big now in New York?
yes,
Is it
yes,
growing?
very much,
Mm.
very much. I would say this will actually give you an example of how much it's growing. Before the pandemic, I was actually keeping a running list of restaurants and bars in New York that have non-alcoholic drink options
Hmm.
because there were not many.
No, no,
There
the
was
last time
there
I
were
came to New York, I couldn't find anything
no,
really.
there were not very many. But then
Mm.
after the pandemic, when things started to open up again, now everywhere, I'm not kidding, every restaurant has at least one or two drinks, but
Yeah.
usually a menu, usually
Wow. So
a
not just the
mocktail.
alcohol-free beer then, there's a few other
No.
things, yeah.
So it's
Kombuchas and
usually like they have a zero proof section with a couple mocktails, a couple beer options, non-alcoholic wine, like
great. Wow. That
so
has
yeah,
changed.
and we have two bars now. We have two sober bars, two bottle shops, and they're just if you're curious about, if you don't live in New York and you're curious about if there is something in your area, in your neighborhood, go to
Hmm.
zeroproofnation.com.
Hmm.
My friend Laura Silverman created a map. It is a global
Oh,
map.
brilliant idea.
So if you're traveling, if you're looking for something in your neighborhood, if you're looking for a place near you that has bars and bottle shops with NA options,
Great.
zeroproofnation.com. Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, I'd love to plan a trip to New York at some point, so we'll have to meet up. Be lovely to
I would love
do something
that.
together, and we'll serve your drinks.
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much. It's been great to have you as a guest, Tawny. So the book is Dry Humping: A Guide to Dating, Relating, and Hooking Up Without the Booze. And I'll put that in the details in the show notes. Thanks ever so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we'll put the link to the book and all the other info in the show notes. Make sure you go to thesoberclub.com. If you'd love to join us as a member, we would love to have you, even if it's just for 1 month. You'd be very, very welcome within the Sober Club. Our community is very small. I'm in there 24/7. I really am. It's my absolute labor of love. So you will feel welcomed if you come on down and join us. And just a quick mention for the events we've got coming up. There's a few things coming up. We have October 24th to the 26th, the Ultimate Self-Care Retreat at Homefield Grange Spa. And then on October 29th, if you're in St Albans, I'm doing a business breakfast at St Michael's Manor. So check that out. That's all for a charity called Youth Talk St Albans. And then November the 1st, there's going to be a 1-day retreat in Hertfordshire. However, still sorting out the info for that and tickets. And then on November the 24th, there is a webinar in the evening. What does it mean to be a sober coach? 7:30 p.m. If you've quit the booze or you're in the process of knowing that this is your forever, then come along to that webinar. It's free to attend. And then Monday, 8th of December, our live alcohol-free life podcast at Club Soda. It's a bit of a Christmas party. It's a bit of a meetup. You're very welcome. If you want to come on your own, you will be very welcome. Just let me know you're coming. We'll make sure somebody meets you. It's Monday, 8th of December. Andy Ramage is my special guest. All of the info is there on thesoberclub.com/events. And I'll sign off as I always do, reminding you that if you are doing this, if you're early days, push through, keep going, reach out, tell someone you're doing it. Everything's recalibrating. It's normal to feel a little bit out of sorts. It's normal to feel a bit shaky, but you know what? It's going to be okay. Keep your eye on the prize. Keep playing that tape forward and focus only on what you're gaining. Drop me a message if you're doing Sober October. I'd love to be able to encourage you, and I'll send you some free tips, even if you're not joining us in the Sober Club. All good. I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by the Sober Club. Please rate and review. And if you want support, accountability and inspiration, and you want to live your best life without the booze, check out thesoberclub.com.